And I'll just go down in order. So Merric. Uh,
Hi, I am Viscount Merric the 15th. I run the Paragon Path podcast and have been on the Warocrat team for Keep in 2019.
and
Yes.
what makes you think that you're qualified to judge battle games?
I spend a lot of time judging battle games and talking about strategies and tactics with people all over Amtgard and in 14-hour car rides with Michael Hammer of God.
Mm.
All right. Teflon.
Well, I'm Teflon. I guess kind of my thing is battle games to a certain degree. And I guess I'm Paragon Druid, so that helps out. But I definitely don't have the pedigree of the other two.
Okay. Raven.
What's up, guys? I'm Sir Raven. I feel like I'm qualified to talk about battle games because I've played Amtgard for about 20 years now. Um, I've been on many of the teams that have won Keep on the Borderlands, um, and I've usually involved with a lot of our planning for strategies and stuff like that. And I think I've gone to every single Keep minus the COVID Keep, so I've gone to a lot.
And I'm Michael Hammer of God. I am qualified to listen about these battle games because I wrote three of them, and as the co-Warocrat, I reviewed all of them, helped write some of the others, and participated in the design of all of them. And I've been Warocrat at Keep 4 out of 11 years, I think. So a lot. I've got a lot of experience, and I believe all these people are very qualified to talk about battle games, so I wouldn't have invited them. So I kind of put them on the spot, but that was just for my own entertainment. All right, so let's start with the Sword Lord's request. And Merrick, if you'd like to put up the map for that one. So this is a two-team game. All of the games are two-team games that are going to be played only once. I know at Keep we often play the same game twice and judge the overall winner that way. This year we have a storyline theme where it's always going to be players against NPCs. We're going to play it once, record the victory, and help build the story that way. So, with that understanding, this one's a symmetrical two-team game, uh, and you can look at the map. Basically, the game is going to be to grab sandbags and carry them to your holding area, while the other team tries to do the same and fights you while you do yours. A fairly simple game to start with. We expect it to be a little smaller than the others. So, would anybody like to make any comments on this game?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Go for it.
How big are these sandbags, and
Um,
can you carry multiple if possible?
so I think the answer is that they are going to be around the 15 or 20 pound range. Uh, Cylindrical sandbags, because that's what you can buy cheaply and easily. Um, and the answer to the question of whether you can carry more than one of them, I don't think it says you can't. In this one, hold on, I'm looking.
I didn't see it, but I wanted to
Yeah,
make
no, it
sure.
does not appear to say that you can't carry more. Um, I think it's going to be very likely that we're not going to allow carts, wagons, or forklifts in this one. No, I mean, we've had people with carts, wagons, or forklifts in Keep games before, and it might be justified. I think in this one that won't be allowed. Probably you won't be allowed to pile a bunch on a shield and use it as a sled even.
Okay, I was about to ask, can we use a sled?
Yeah, without that written in, I hate to say it when I'm not the one who wrote it, but I think that's going to be the ruling. I'm pretty sure just reading the way it's written, that seems like the. If I was the Reeve, I would rule against it. If I was the Reeve, I would have tried to write in against it, but
Hey man, if they haven't fought enough against enough just cars, then they wouldn't know.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I've written games against a lot of Justicars.
I would like to
Um,
point out that all of the like initial thoughts are how do we move more sandbags faster and not like how do we play inside the rules, is how to exploit the rules as quickly as possible. I think that's going to be a central theme through
Well,
all of this?
I'm okay with that because that's what the players are doing.
If you don't
I
tell
mean,
us we can't, we will.
no, I mean that's what the
Essentially,
players
yeah.
that's what the players are doing too, and I don't begrudge them that. Um, so assuming we can't do any of those clever ideas, um, I'm not sure there's much that's not obvious about this, but does anybody have any other comments or any other questions about how this is played or how you think you would tackle it or anything like that?
I do have one question. It says they fought over a number of sandbags. It said the round time limit is 25 minutes, but it doesn't say if I can end the game quicker than that. So I'm just assuming we just fight over over just 25
So
minutes.
So I think that is correct. And when I talked about it, they did say that it would be okay to collect sandbags from the other team's repository, which, given the map, is not entirely impossible. Um, it might mean that the sandbags don't stop moving until the game ends. That would be my guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going to ask about round will end when no sandbags are in play. So if they're in the scoring area, if they're considered in play or not.
oh, that they must not be then. So yeah, if that's the deal, then I think if round end with no sandbags in play, then it's going to end when somebody fills up the sandbags and they're all in somebody's scoring area. If they're stuck in the scoring area, it's a fairly simple game.
Yeah, there's a lack of detail on how to actually end the game
Hmm.
outside of the 25-minute limit.
Well, no, it does say at the end if all the scoring bags are out of play, and the only way they go out of play that I see is they
Oh,
get
I
they,
see.
they get scored.
I'm silly.
So I think that's the answer. I will point out something else that will help you guys, and it's kind of cool as we look at these games. On the map, the red rectangles that make up the scoring areas, those are going to be cattle gates covered in canvas. So you'll
Ooh.
see them in all the maps, and that's what that prop is going to be.
Oh,
Gotcha.
excellent.
Okay, so they're going to be pretty good props, and you'll see we do different things with them. And then as we get into other maps, you'll see some of the same elements used over and over again. We have the big round hay rolls is another element that you'll see used over and over again. Again, we'll talk about it as we get to it, but that helps you picture what this is going to be built out of and what it's going to look like. So it really will be pretty impossible to push into your scoring area from the back. And I think we will make a rule that you can't hand bags into your scoring area through the back either. The cattle gates are only about 4.5, 5 feet tall. So it wouldn't be impossible to do that, but I think we'll make a rule against it.
So how are
You
players
said
moving
these were
through
just
them with insubstantial?
I think they're going around.
Okay.
I mean, insubstantial players get to violate game rules. They do not get to violate the laws of physics. So it's the same question of how do you go into a locked room that's really a locked room when you've got insubstantial? Well, the Reeve opens the door and lets you in, but you can't walk through the wall.
Hmm.
So I think that's the answer. I know it's not perfect because it makes insubstantial less useful in that situation, but that's the reality of terrain.
Yeah, well, if you're insubstantial, my question would be if they're only 4.5 to 5 feet tall, then someone who's slightly taller could just be insubstantial and drop the bag in the scoring area
No,
instead.
I think we're going to say you can't drop them over
Oh,
anyway.
okay, I
That's
got
the
you.
point.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't care whether you're insubstantial or not then.
plus they
that's fair.
can't handle game objects while they're insubstantial
Oh,
anyway.
true.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Are these actually noted as game items in this one? 'Cause
They're
there
No,
was
not
but
one
they're
that.
scoring
noted.
items, so they must be.
Okay, yeah, fair. There was one that designated something as not, so I wanted to make sure with that too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if something says again it is not, that's because we've thought about it and it makes sense not to. But anyway, I think this is a fairly simple game, and I think we've kind of worked through what's interesting about it. Does anybody else have anything else to talk about, or should we move to the next one?
I think this is going to be super using basically the same tactic that um oh crap. Raven, what's your Phoenix League team?
Stack deck.
Stack deck uses. The paladins are going to be really important because they're going to give you pro command. You're going to be able to, take over the pile of sandbags and control it better because you have armor, you have pro command. There's less things that can get control over you and move you around. And then just hold point sandbags and move them to your area as quickly as possible.
No, I think you're right, because the other way this would, the way that wouldn't work in a full scale keep game is you can always overwhelm with numbers. But this being Wednesday night, it will be the smallest game, so I think you're probably exactly right.
I think if any edit is made to this game, it should just say players cannot use a a machine or tool to help move sandbags. Because
Yeah.
you could, I didn't even think about it earlier. You could just throw a piece of fabric on the ground and put the sandbags in the fabric.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I mean that's I agree, that's a good clarification, and I will pass that on to the game designer because I agree with you. I think for the purposes of our discussion, we're going to assume that exists because I think it's very likely it will. So,
I think you'll see people like as basic tactics overall probably look to try and establish a defending team and a running team with a possible tertiary group of
Oh,
like
for sure.
a hunter killer type thing trying to snag people who are
Mm-hmm.
moving bags.
Gift
But
of
I
air
don't
on
see,
the runners.
yeah, something like that. Basically,
yeah,
evasives on the runners, and then defenders are actually not like as likely to be upfront tank type classes. Probably they're probably more like wizards and druids and archers and things to try and pick them off.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
no, I think that seems sensible, and I kind of agree with you. Um, I think that there's going to be more value in pushing to score yourself than in stopping the other team, just because that's fairly typical in this kind of game. Um, Given that it's really a race, and uh, I believe fast-paced games are the most fun games, so I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, I agree as well.
All right, well, let's move on to the Stag Lord.
Okay, I had actually a few questions on this
No,
one.
there are a number of good questions about this one, so go ahead. You can start with the questions.
Okay, so it says uh, that the nodes have to be attacked in sequence. There's not a numbering, so does that mean like you can't try to capture two nodes at the same time?
Oh, the numbering. There was a numbering. It looks like it did not transfer to the second graphic. Wow, I'm glad you caught that. We will need to fix that before we publish. So the answer to your question, which is an excellent one, is from right to left on your screen.
Okay. The other one. This
No, that
probably
was a fantastic question. Sorry about
yeah,
that.
no, you're good. The other one, I guess, is probably more or less answered in that case. But the defending team, do they get to choose which nodes are um, associated with the respawners?
Uh, no, the three that are next to the respawn or closest to the respawns are the ones associated.
Okay. And I just want to clarify, since they have to go in sequence, they cannot attack two at the same time. Correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
and that's kind of by design.
Right. Right. Is there any more?
Oh, and I lied when I said none of them are played twice. This one is. Most of them are not played twice.
Is the every X seconds on the contesting node the 60 seconds, or is that a timing that's to be decided?
Uh, I think it's going to be 60. Um, he originally wrote it that way. I think we'll just get rid of it and make it 60. We had a conversation about it, and we're not sure that we had a better number. If you guys think 60 is wrong, you can tell me, but I think it's going to be 60.
No, I think that should be fine. It depends on like what the um, goal of that mechanic is, I guess.
Well, the goal is to make sure that death has a price,
Okay.
right? It's a respawn mechanic. The deal is to give death a price. Um, if anything, it could go up if we're just not keeping enough people dead to make it interesting to kill people. But I think 60 seconds is going to be fine with travel time. Well, there may not even be travel time because it will be tracked by Reeves. We'll call a time, and then people will repop. So that's just like describing the repop rules.
No, I meant for the the nodes getting extra objects added to them.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be the same.
Did I lose?
No,
Okay.
I don't see where objects are coming in 60 seconds. Where are you reading that?
It is the second line from the bottom. Every X seconds that the attacking team is contesting a node, a reeve will release one object that may now be taken by the attacking team.
Oh yes. So I think that is to make it so that it stays fluid and keeps moving.
Okay.
That's a good question. And we didn't talk about it when we talked about this game. But that's why I would do that. So I assume that's why it's doing. This one did get play tested in Ashen Hills, and apparently it went pretty well. But obviously, it did not get play tested at Keep Scale.
Right. Well, so this is kind of the thing. I haven't had as much experience with bigger battle games, so I'm coming from like a smaller group.
No. These are good questions, and I'm not sure we would need to release objects. But if they're stuck on only one node and they never get it, this at least gets object out of the later nodes. So I think that's your answer.
Okay.
And this one, obviously they're playing it twice because they would like to have a final winner. And this one, it's not clear what ought to be the winning condition, since it is very non-symmetrical and not clear what the winning condition is. So, anybody else have any other comments, questions, or arguments about this one?
No, nothing that wasn't already covered.
It's going to create interesting battle lines due to variable respawn locations and having like a almost like a rotating target in your from Team B's perspective.
No, I agree with that. But since Team B only has one respawn and it's further, their deaths are going to hurt more.
Unless they move their respawn using Heart of the Swarm or something.
Yeah, and I think they will. At Keep, you can pretty much guarantee a Heart of the Swarm in the most useful place, since there's enough people to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not penalized by losing 10% of your team or something like that for
Yeah.
one dude to do it.
It is also going to be, I think this one is almost contradictory to the last, like, runner teams. If you have people moving things, you want them to be defendable, because if they go insubstantial, like from Gift of Air or anything like that, they drop the object and then it's dead. So you have to pay attention to that. Instead of just building evasives on your runners, you're going to want to build defenses instead.
Yeah, no, I think you want to push the easy scores with a lot of people and let the red team take the hard scores mostly. That's my suspicion, but we will see what the teams decide. Adam probably already knows what his team's doing, but I'm not going to ask him to tell because he shouldn't.
Yeah, the other interesting thing is the defending team will distribute the objects between the nodes as they see fit. So that's going to be really asymmetrical on top of that. So
No, I don't disagree.
So one thing that's important is like any strategy anyone comes up with basically is irrelevant after first contact. So we just have to come up with the best possible way to set yourself up for success. And yeah, there's basically 3 targets here, and you basically want to limit the amount of possible things that you get to defend if you're the defending team, and you want to really concentrate your forces on one object at a time if you're the attacking team.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I agree.
the knee-jerk reaction might be to put a small number in like the first several and then shore up the numbers in the back end of it, since it looks like the winning condition is just objects itself.
Right. And the third node, once the third node is captured, the defending team may no longer respawn. If you can make that node as hard as possible to capture, that's going to be to your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not fairly clear that the objects, they're probably going to be the sandbags again.
Yeah, I should have said something because I
Assumedly,
assumed
yeah.
that much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you guys figured that, but just in case it's not clear to anybody who listens to this later.
Yep.
So what some of these games kind of come down to is like which team can organize the best together.
Agreed.
And just a little hint to people coming to keep. You should do a good job at using teamwork and communication between different organizations, and not just like with your own battle group or fighting company. A lot of this would be like I usually just give a brief to my entire team of what we're gonna do, and then I usually am very assertive and strong arming about telling them what to do. But a good thing to do if you're just a normal player is actually just talk to your players at respawn. So if a bunch of you die, communicate together before you respawn, and then when you respawn, you guys have a plan of action together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, Raven, that is an excellent point for people who haven't been to Keep before. You will get to play with your 10 best friends in every game, but who you're playing with among the other units will differ every game. So establishing new teamwork with those units that are now part of your team is very important. So that's an excellent point, and thank you. Okay, I think we've sort of exhausted this one. You guys ready to move on to Troll Trouble?
Yeah, it's my favorite game.
This one looks really fun.
That makes me feel happy because I worked very hard to come up with something new and different and clever that we hadn't seen before that would really push the usage of full class abilities. So I think it's pretty good, but I'm going to explain it briefly, and then we'll talk about what's interesting and how it works. So this is the only game where you're literally going to play with your unit and only with your unit. And we're going to get everybody at least 2 games. We're going to have 2 fields and run the games simultaneously on 2 fields. And I believe they're going to be very fast games. There won't be much trouble getting every Keep team 2 battles. We might be able to get 3 or 4 if people want them, but I'm not promising 3 or 4. So you split your 10 people. Sorry, before you do anything, both teams get to know what class combination the other team has. Then you split your people into a group of 3 trolls and 7 soldiers, blind from the other team. So they don't know which of your 3 players are going to be trolls and which of your 7 players are going to be soldiers,
Oh my god.
and vice versa. Like you don't
That's
know,
better
and
than
they
I
don't.
thought this was gonna be. That's awesome.
That's so good. I like this.
Wait, why wouldn't
already.
I? Why wouldn't I do that? Did it not even say that it's a blind split? I don't know.
I didn't see that.
Maybe I
initially.
didn't write that. To me, it's obvious that it's got to be a blind split because it makes it tactically more interesting. But anyway, it's a blind split. And then on the field that you see that blue or that green wall, that wall cannot be crossed at all. So basically, once you split your team, you're playing 2 games on 2 fields, and never the twain shall meet. So on each field, your 3 trolls, their job is to kill all the soldiers before the soldiers burn the 5 mushrooms. To burn the 5 mushrooms, the soldiers need to take a fireball, which will be pink, from their bucket and put it on top of the mushroom. The mushrooms are 4-foot tall paper mache mushrooms that have a little divot in the top of them. The fireball is not going to land there and stick because it's a little divot. So don't throw it at the mushrooms. You're going to have to walk over there and set it. But it is a thing you should be able to run by and set it pretty quickly. But you have to set it. Alchemical fire takes a free hand. Bottles may be handed between players, but not thrown for any purpose. The important part is the trolls respawn. They have regeneration, and they respawn in 20 seconds at an unburned bow. Oh no, we didn't. We took away regeneration, but they do respawn in 20 seconds at an unburned mushroom. So pretty fast. Soldiers do not come back to life. So you start with a 2-to-1 edge, but they come back and you don't. So you got to burn mushrooms fast. I think that's enough of a summary. Let's talk about what's interesting about this game.
You still
Okay.
have regeneration in this one, in this rule
Do I?
set that I'm looking at.
Okay, then you do have regeneration.
Yeah.
I looked the wrong place and didn't see it. Yes, they
The
do.
regeneration's almost irrelevant. But
I agree with you. They're going to be murdered very quickly and come
Mhm.
back pretty quickly too.
so
And it's going to be a super fast game.
yeah, it's gonna be super It should be super fast. We'll see what happens. This is
Yeah.
my favorite game, probably for the reason you probably think it is, Mikey, is that like I love numbers asparagus game. So if it's 3 versus 7, that's super fun to me. Even if it's like I don't particularly care who the 7 people are, but if it's my team versus 3 versus whoever 7, that's super fun to me. Uh,
I know the feeling.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think this game's gonna be super fast.
I just
If
want to
that,
be
go ahead. Sorry.
absolutely. Oh no, you're good. Absolutely clear. There's no interaction between the two teams. So like, one of your 7 couldn't enchant another troll or something like that by reaching
Nope,
across the wall.
definitely not. Like
Okay,
the
just wanted to
only
make that
the only way in
absolutely
which
clear.
you're a team of 10 is you're splitting the team of 10 and playing 2 games. Um, in fact, somebody asked me about pre-enchants, and I was like, I don't really care. But then I realized they didn't really mean pre-enchants; they meant enchanting across the game.
Yeah,
We're not going
Oh,
to allow that.
yeah, that's good.
Like pre-enchants, yeah, I don't really care. We'll probably allow that, but we will not allow you to enchant across the game.
So when you say it's a blind split, does that mean the players can't see each other before the game starts,
No, they do get to see who's playing what class.
but not until after the teams have decided who goes where?
No, we're going to let them see each other, and then there's going to be a reeve with each one, whose job it will be to collect who's going to be a troll and who's going to be a soldier.
Okay.
So that's what's blind. Their team composition is not blind, and in fact, you can't adjust to them without giving them the chance to adjust back. And
Right.
like this. Oh, they're carrying 10 barbarians, so we're going to do this stuff. And then they say, oh, we're not actually carrying 10 barbarians. I don't need that kind of drama in my life. So come with what you intend to play with, because they get to see that and you get to see theirs. What they don't get to see is, if you bring in 3 barbarians, are you going to just try and only barbar bomb with your trolls? They might assume that, but if then they build an only anti-barbar team, you might say, "Oh, we'll just load some warriors over there since we had some anyway, and keep the barbarians as soldiers."
That's an important thing. Can the players change classes between games?
Uh, Between the 2 rounds, yes. Sorry, between the 2 different games, you get to play at least 2 games. I don't see any reason that you can't change there. But within the scope of the individual game, no.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
yep.
And since the other team knows what selections of things you're playing with, even if they don't know which are playing in which half of the game, or sorry, which of the 2 games, um, they have a decent amount of information to make decisions with. They just don't have complete information. And frankly, nor should they.
So essentially, at the beginning of the game, we're gonna have red team and blue team facing off against each, like opposite sides, but they're not going to be on their separate like fields yet. And when the whistle blows, they can just run to the side that they have designated themselves to go to. Correct?
Correct. But we're like I say, we're going to mark it down so the Reeves know which side they're going to by class and individual, so that there's no shenanigans of watch the other team and react to them.
Gotcha.
Like, that's the only reason we're going to track it with a Reeve. But I know amp guarders. I would be trying to react to the other team, so I can't blame them. I can just stop them.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
can
one
kind
of my favorite things
bluff it.
about this game is that the players have to think on the fly.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really chaotic for some of these new amp guarders. I say new amp guarders, I mean anyone who's played in the last 6 years.
Yeah, no, it's a fun and interesting thing. I hope. Um, I don't see anything that's broken about it, because since we're doing it in 2 halves, there is a symmetry, even though it's a very asymmetrical battle. Um, so I think it can't break horribly. I'm glad that it's your favorite, Adam. I think it's super interesting, and it should be a good challenging game. I tried to come up with something that you can play with 10 people and be pretty fun. Uh, I'm going to give a uh, I'm going to give a piece of news out here that will be either very interesting and exciting to people, or very sad, depending on what their mentality on beating up on teams much weaker than them. But given that we're only going to have 2 matches guaranteed for each team, we're going to try and make matchups that seem interesting,
That's
where
good.
both teams are challenged.
Yeah.
There's really no point in saying, well, here's a team of newbies. Let's put them up against a team of paragons and battle masters, because we won't have any fun, and there's no point in it. So we're not going to have every team play every team. So we will match up the teams we do play.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be really fun, no matter if you're good at battle gaming or not great at battle gaming. I don't think there's really anything to exploit in these rules. So like, I think the people who are used to coming up with like meta solutions to things, and like normally they can, you know, do something silly within the rules. I think those people are gonna not have a super great time, but the people who can navigate the field the best, and people who have the best skill sets are gonna do the best in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I think the winning strategy is often going to be the person who adapts to the unexpected best, because there's just a few too many variables to have everything expected, even if you're pretty good at battle games and pretty good at guessing how other battle gamers play. There's just a few too many unknowns to not have a high benefit on being fast on your feet.
Mm-hmm. Armor is going to be helpful, like all
Yeah.
small games. It's going to be super important, but
No, I agree with that. I mean, like I say, the strategies I've heard from people who are willing to share their strategy as soon as they see it is, oh, we're barbar bombing this, or oh, we're armor picking this, which are both excellent strategies. Like, I'm not saying they're necessarily wrong. I am saying that they both have obvious counters, and if the other team figures them out, it may not be enough.
Yeah, and I think more importantly than class composition is actual tactics.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people can go, we're gonna field 3 warriors, but I mean, if I'm playing barbarian, I honestly don't care about 95% of warriors on the field.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree, and it's really a matter of where you put people and how you get those matchups, because when you're fighting against bad odds, you've got to figure out how to make those matchups pay quickly.
Yeah, battlefield control and tactical execution is gonna be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
Oh,
I'm glad we had so much fun talking about this one. Anybody have any last minutes before we keep moving?
this is more of a general. Are we using the playtest rules, or are we using the rules as written rules?
We're using the playtest rules.
Okay.
Interesting. That'll be fun. Are the boundaries on this one hard boundaries? So like if you get shoved or awed into the corner, you're stuck in that corner, or are they kill?
They're not kill boundaries. So if you get awed or shoved, you stop at the edge.
I've got to quit assuming that that's always the thing, or the skirt around.
Hmm.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, no. Things that make you go to the boundary, you stop at the boundary. If you accidentally step out of the boundary, then get your ass back in. If you intentionally run out of the boundary, the Reeve has every right to remove you from the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is really just going to come down to, like Raven said, the team that has better strategy and tactics, because getting into that cave is going to be really hard without wiping the other team and being smart about how you move in there. This is definitely going to show off our battle masters and our paragons.
Yeah, no, I
for their
mean, you're
quick
going to
fire
have
and
to
their
wipe the other
thoughts.
team with fire ready to really get that stuff done. And it is likely you will be players down by then, so it will no longer be as imbalanced as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's lots of good resurrection abilities that the soldiers can keep their players fighting, even though they have a limited number. But every second you're doing a resurrection, you're not scoring.
Hmm.
So it's like I say, I am glad that the initial reaction is that this is as interesting as I thought it was, because I think it's a pretty interesting game.
I want to beat a dead horse here. The asymmetrical play on both sides at the same time is a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will know after this year if it's a great thing that we should all steal, or if it was just an idea who it seemed better than it was.
Fair.
Uh, I I guess right more often than I guess wrong, so I'm pretty optimistic, but you never know. All right, let's move on to to Season of Bloom. All right, this is the one where we came the closest to violating my rule about keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Um, so I will admit that up front. If we when we get there, I'll talk about why if anybody asks. But um, basically, this is going to be a game where the attackers have to put the spores, which are going to be 50-gallon drums full of sandbags, to 5 designated locations and keep them there for the duration of the game. The defenders are going to have these anti-magic domes, which are 2-man tents with the bottom cut out of them. And if you put an anti-magic dome over the spore, then the spore no longer works, and they will have to deal with it. The immunity to range verbal magic is interesting. It does make the nodes more defendable by the attacking team, the forest fairy team or whatever they are. And that immunity will go to whoever controls that node. So it helps them because they're the ones who are trying to control the nodes, but it's not clear that it's definitely one way or the other. And then the Spellbreaker Hulk exists specifically so that we can get rid of anti-magic domes. And he's going to be used with a token where you say, "Hey, I'm going to use him," and then he'll go do it. And he's going to be pretty hard to kill, but he's not going to be especially destructive. He's not going to be a good killer, but he'll be pretty hard to kill since his job is getting rid of the anti-magic domes. Okay, that's the basis. Does anybody have questions, comments, complaints?
The only questions I had were with the map and the key. I assume the Wizard's Tower is where the Hulk or the Hulk monster spawns. Is that correct?
No, that's where the anti-magic domes spawn.
Oh, okay. And the ley line nexuses are the objective areas?
Correct. And the Hulk spawns at the NPC respawn.
Oh,
By giving a token to your Reeve. That you spawn him when you need him, and you're going to have a limited number of tokens. I think 2 or 3.
So the NPCs are the attackers?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, the big yellow boxes represent hay rolls, and the red rectangles represent cattle gates. And the 2 castle gates represent our castle gates.
So there's a node in
In
one of the
tower.
castle towers.
That is exactly correct.
Which direction do those castles face?
We're gonna prop the doors open during this game, so it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Well, if I'm at the PC spawn and the face of the tower is facing us, that means I have to go around the tower to get into the tower.
No, that's true, and I think the answer is the one with the node will probably be facing the NPCs.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other one will probably be facing the PCs, but maybe they will both be facing the NPCs because we don't want to move our castles very much. Yeah, they're definitely both going to be facing the NPCs because we're not moving our castles.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move these other things around the castles, but
And this is like basically the full field that we're going to be using for this, correct?
yes, it's going to be. Logistically, I'm pretty sure it's going to be opposite. It doesn't really make any difference tactically. The answer to Raven's question is the same, but probably north of the castle gate is where we have more space, so that's probably where the NPCs will be. But the gates will still face them.
So the NPCs can actually use the towers as defenses.
Yes, but the PCs are closer to them.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just was concerned on where the opening was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we are going to prop the gates open, so they're not going to be long, thin openings. They are useful towers, and I'm not disregarding that.
Something I like about this game, and something that's common in all the games, is that the map's objectives are odd numbers. So, and there's usually you have to achieve a certain number of those. You have to achieve all of those objectives, right? Technically. Um,
Yes, although if the time runs out, then obviously the more you achieve, the better.
yeah. Is this game going to be played twice? So each team will
No,
defend once and attack once? No. Okay.
no, this is played once, and the NPCs clearly represent the the forest fairies from the story, and if they win, the story will go one way, and if the PCs win, the story will go a different way.
Okay. Cool.
This is gonna be
This
a
game
lot
is
of
actually
space.
really fun too. So just a little hint to if anyone's actually listening to this is that there's an odd number of objectives, um, and the map is actually skewed towards a certain way. Like
Mhm.
if you notice, the left side of the field all has walls against it, and then the right side of the field, if you're looking at the map, is all has walls on its back. Versus if you look at the left side, there's almost no walls. So the way you construct your battle lines is really important.
Hmm.
Oh, you are very observant, and we noted that. We'll see if the players are smart enough about exploiting it. You've been helpful to them, so maybe they will be.
I mean, this is definitely going to be one of the ones where you need a battle commander to kind of control and delegate where things are going. You're not going to want to let 4 or 5 different people try to lead. You're going to want to have one general for this because this is, I mean, choosing when to use your anti-magic or your spellbreaker, which nodes you're capturing, and kind of when. This is all going to be somewhat more important than if, partially because this map is so big. This is going to be a lot of space you have to cover and defend.
Yeah, something.
I mean, go ahead.
Something just for people who are listening and like if there's people out there who you're looking to get your battle master and stuff like that, the way you do it is actually try to step up, be a leader, and command the field. And a lot of that is communicating with other people who are the other leaders of battle units and stuff like that, and then communicating with them, and then try to press your strategy upon them and see if they go with it or whatever. But yeah, it's really important that everyone gets on the same page on what's going on.
No,
Yeah.
I want to agree with both of you guys on that. I'll go even further and say having a plan that is suboptimal but everybody's engaged in is better than an optimal plan that only 10 people are engaged in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say the more organized team.
And it doesn't even have to be everybody. If you've got 3 or 4 units who are engaged in a suboptimal plan, it's better than 10 people in one unit engaged in a perfect plan.
Yeah.
But obviously, you'd like to get everybody. And if you get 3 or 4, it is likely that everybody else will come along because if it's working, they want to do it too.
Hmm.
Yeah, you literally just walk up to people and say, "Hey, who wants to win this battle game?" And everyone goes, "We do." And you go, "Okay, here's the plan."
The node control conferring the immunity to range verbal magic is gonna be. I'm very interested to see how that affects the team builds.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
we talked about this and we're like, "No one play monk."
You're just doubling up.
it definitely makes monks less useful since that is their main advantage.
I think this is going to be one of the opportunities that archers can really shine because immunity to the ranged verbal magics means a lot of the control is just gone around the node. And the magic balls are always still effective, but archers are going to have some opportunities to mess people up in this.
No, I agree that when you remove ranged verbals, then the spell balls don't have anything like the actual range that arrows do.
Or bringing 300 throwies. I think this would be a good idea to bring 300 throwies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say that there are very few games that are not improved with 300 throwies, other than the fact that you got to collect the damn things.
That's what your minions are for.
No, my minions are for helping me review battle games.
Darn.
Okay. Any other comments on this one?
So the magic domes are just 2-man tents with no movement requirement. Like they're just a
Well, he
tent.
has some considered heavy objects in here. I think the answer is that I would rather have them be 2-person carry objects.
Yeah, but two people with the 2-man tent can sprint pretty easily compared to trying to move a 50-gallon drum, even like a third full with sandbags. It's a lot more
no,
weight.
I agree. The 50-gallon drums are horrible.
It's going to be very. You're gonna. I'm very
I'm going
interested to see
leave the
which teams
considered heavy
become
objects.
runners.
That's the way he wrote it. But I don't know the answer to that question about how you're going to deal with the anti-magic domes.
Just to
mean,
be clear, with the heavy object, they have to walk with it if they're considered heavy objects, right?
That's right.
should get an umbrella with a gardening stake on it.
Oh no. I've got the tents purchased, so we're using the tents.
The other
And
thing,
That'd be pretty easy.
that will affect the speed with which somebody can do something with it, because they will have to actually carry the thing and get it over the barrel.
Yeah.
Like a 2-man tent, I'm not sure one person can sensibly get a 2-man tent with a hole only slightly larger than the barrel over the barrel by themselves. I think it's a 2-person job.
yeah, it's just going to be easier to. I think it's going to be easier to move around with the tents than it is going to be with the
I think that's
spores.
absolutely true. Although, if there's one thing I've learned about 50-gallon barrels, amp guarders know enough to roll them, so they're going to be rolling.
That's very true. The 5-minute timer for the Spellbreaker Hulk, I kind of want to see someone exploit that.
Oh, because it says after the first anti-magic dome is placed.
Right.
Place them all at the same time.
Yeah. If you place them real quick, then you, or within, I mean, that takes a real strategy and tactics to be able to pull it off. But if you could plant, 2 or 3 of them in the last 5 minutes, they never get the opportunity to use that Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ideally, I mean, you could just move the dome next to the objective on like 2 or 3 of those objectives, and then tell 3 of them to plant them at the same time. That wouldn't be terribly difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, although then you're controlling a majority of the objectives, which you're probably winning anyway.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, that's not to say it's not a good idea to give yourself that extra advantage against the Spellbreaker Hulk, but if you can successfully control 3 advantages that close to the end of the game, you're still probably doing well. I think. Yeah, I think there may be times when you'd rather just make sure you get that anti-magic dome over the spore so that you can have the advantage against ranged verbals.
This is missing something we had talked about on the trip down to Tennessee, Michael, that changes some of the tactics. There's no statement saying that the anti-magic domes disappear when dropped.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just solid objects, so you carry them around and then move
I believe they disappear when dropped.
Okay.
I will have that conversation with Steve, but I believe they disappear when dropped.
Because otherwise Adam's plan works pretty well.
Steve has been very busy because he's also Warocrating our event in 2 weeks, as well as trying to do Keep.
Oh, man.
Busy man. Busy man.
Well, I asked him first, so I don't feel quite as bad about it. But yes, he's a busy man. All right. Any other comments on this one?
Are those? So it's a tent, right? Are those?
Yeah.
What happens if someone shoots the tent and I'm standing behind it? Is it a blocking object?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think so.
Oh, I see where you're going.
That makes things interesting.
The question is, can you use it as a giant arrow block? I think so.
I mean, if all my teammates form a snake behind the tent and we have 2 tents in front of us,
More than 2 people.
it'll be just like the Spartans.
That seems to me like something they can get around pretty easily. You have not scared me with this idea.
What if I have all of them, all 5 of them in front of us? We make an objective phalanx.
Yep.
Okay, I agree that can be done and is stronger than just 2, but it is also less winning than just 2. I don't know. You may be seeing something I'm not.
Well, no, I'm just being silly. But
When
sometimes
people
being
talk-
silly is where you come up with good ideas.
No, I get the brainstorming thing, and somebody who I know can break games like you, if you say, "Does this break games?" I got to think seriously about does it.
This is gonna be another one
But
where Heart of the Swarm is gonna matter.
Yeah.
no, a well-placed heart can be very important in this. I agree 100%. And you get that heart placed next to your anti-magic dome, that's you, or spore in a node you control. That has value too.
I think it would be a good rule for all battle games as like a PSA that like you cannot manipulate game objectives with machines or equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think we definitely need to make that clarification here because I do not need somebody with a bobcat dragging around my 50-gallon drums.
I was just thinking about a very wide sled.
Well, no, I understand you're thinking of the simplest machine, but if you can use a sled, why can't I drive in a bobcat?
Sure, yeah.
I'm just asking. So anyway, the answer is I think we're definitely going to make that clarification. But um, I appreciate it. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, or otherwise?
No, I think this is a great battle game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to end up in chaos, which is usually going to be good.
I think the
Oh,
fairies
yeah.
are going to have an interesting time with this one. Okay. So now we get the 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 flags and puzzles. So Varnhold vanishing. The team needs to raise 6 flags with the right color symbols. Excuse me. I think they're gonna mostly be colors, but there might be a couple where we have symbols, so that it's not a challenge for colorblind people.
Good.
But the team with the most color symbol flag raised will be victorious if the timer runs out. Um, there's going to be basically there's going to be a resource nodes near your base that contain coins. You can steal the coins, return them to the reeve to gain the right to place barriers next to the castle in later games. This is why these coins do not affect this game, but they do affect later games. Um, basically, there are 2 more games that use the castle, and if you get the right to place terrain in those games, you'll place that terrain and it will exist. And uh, you will place it knowing what side you're on in that game, but not in the next games, and it will exist for all of the castle games. There's only 2 more after this, but basically the 3 castle games exist on an evolving battlefield, um, evolving by player action. So that's what the point of the coins in this game is. But the flags, uh, they're just going to be flags that you raise and lower, and you can just raise and lower them however you want. Finding the clues will help you decide what order they ought to be raised and lowered in, and that is the key to being successful: is figuring out which order they need to be raised and lowered in, and getting them up and down in that order.
So both teams are fighting over every. They're both fighting over the same objectives. There's 6 objectives.
That's correct. I'm pretty sure that when I asked, the clues are the same for everybody. Um, it seemed chaotic to me, but apparently it has been run successful a bunch, and it works pretty well.
So are there 2 sets of flags at each section so that it designates who scored that zone?
No, so I think the key is that there's going to be a full set of flags for the polls, and you have to get up the set that's right for your combination.
Okay.
And the other team doesn't necessarily know what's right for your combination, nor do you know what's right for theirs. In fact, you don't even know what's right for yours till you get all the clues.
Okay. So it makes the possibility for brute force to be a little less appealing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore the clues and just brute force it. I think that's a fair statement.
So you said each team is getting the same clues? Or same types of clues?
Yeah, I think it's the same types of clues because I
Okay.
think it's contradictory here. I think the two teams want different flags up.
Right.
I've talked about this with Reacts a couple times, and that's what I'm. When I say I think, I'm pretty sure. I'm not trying to waffle here.
So is there only one pillar at each? Like, there's only one spot for a flag at each node.
That's correct.
Okay. So essentially, you have to control 6 nodes in order to get the entire
Yes,
your
to
entire
absolutely
sequence up
win,
and
you've
win.
got to get all 6. Like the first team to successfully raise all 6 wins. That's exactly what it says here.
That's a lot
But
of
it
field
also says
control.
if a game runs to the timer, the team with the most correct flags will win. That I think is more likely.
There's 7 flags, I think. 2, 3, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think is more likely is that
What's the overall timer? Am I missing it?
it's not written in there, but I'm guessing it's going to be 35 minutes.
Okay. Do we know how much a wall costs as far as the coins go?
No, because the autocrat has not been super helpful on the currency system.
Got
If I have to write my own, sorry, if Rex and I have to write our own, we will. But this is still loose because it's not defined. I'm supposed to have a meeting with the autocrats next week about it. So you're asking a great question. I hate not answering it.
No, you're good.
Well, no, but people who want to plan to put up their walls, I want them to have the information so they can plan.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's important.
Hey,
Because I was
No,
gonna ask, how much does a wall cost?
no,
uh-huh.
I mean I'm not trying to do you guys in. I
Are you
understand
good?
the challenge. Um, I love the idea of the evolving battlefield. Like I'm excited about it, but it only works if we actually have people who understand it and can do it.
Because this is the weird thing that could be done on this one if we knew the wall cost. Because you could just contest like the flags a little bit and then gather as many coins as possible and just kind of forfeit the game at the end of it, but you have all of the coins uh, to play the next game.
So yes, but coins and walls are bought by units, not by teams.
Gotcha. That's fair.
So if your 10-man team goes, hey, or your 10-man unit goes, hey, we just want to collect coins so that we can place walls in later games, that's perfectly fine. But the rest of your team might still be trying to win, or might also be trying to collect coins. And you guys might not even be on the same team in the next game when you're placing those walls you bought together.
I like this devious trap you guys put in this one.
No, I mean, I the advantage sorry the real the challenge that Rex and I had as game writers is we love the idea of evolving battlefield, but we can't let it turn the entirety of keep into a boat race where if you win a little bit you win more and more.
Yes.
So that's the deal. You don't ever know whether you're going to be a PC or NPC in any given game, so it's hard to say I'm going to do this as a PC now because I know it'll help me as a PC later.
Right.
Um, so, no, that's good questions about the gates, and I'm glad you guys are thinking about how do we make the evolving battlefield the most interesting and most valuable for us. That's what I want you guys to do.
My kind of initial thought on this one is you kind of have like a team who kind of tries to harass um, the nodes, whoever's on them from the other team, and then basically get like, since there's 7, you get like 4 of them correct, and then you just brute force check the other 3. But I don't know if that's as viable because you might accidentally allow the other team to win.
Um, yeah, it's possible if there's too much overlap between their goals and your goals. I imagine that's not likely to be built that way.
Hmm.
I don't know. This is a game that of all the games here, it's the one that's apparently been run the most, but I've never seen it run and haven't played it, so I don't have any direct experience with it.
This
I
is
don't
one of
think
the few games I actually didn't understand.
well, I don't see anything I hate about it, but I'm not like I say, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how it plays out as well as the others.
It'll definitely be interesting because if there's, like, it says clues will be placed in nodes throughout the battlefield. It doesn't say it'll be at the flag nodes. So there's just spaces on the battlefield that'll be nodes with clues.
I just assumed that was the numbered nodes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be at the flags, but I don't know that. And I think the flags are going to be not quite at the nodes.
Okay, so it's even more node control.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm reading this totally backwards, I think. So
Clues
wait a
will be
minute.
placed in
So
nodes throughout the battlefield.
the 1 through 6 are the flags on the outer rim. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I had this backwards because I was thinking the flags were in the middle.
Yeah, and there aren't any marked nodes, but I think the two things are basically going to be close to each other, but not on top of each other because you don't want fighting on top of the people who are trying to read clues. Close to and chase them off it, but you know.
Yeah, I thought the center of the field. I didn't until you explained to me that's terrain. I thought that's where the clues were, and the
Oh,
fighters
sure.
were fighting over the clues,
See,
or that's
I
where the
read it the
puzzles were.
opposite way. I
No,
thought the
that
flags were in the
makes
middle and
total
the clues were
sense,
on the
but
other
no.
side.
Like that's going to be a castle wall that we will keep using in later games. We're just playing sideways to it.
Okay.
So those towers are going to kind of be somewhat usable. It'll be very interesting because they're in the middle in the wrong direction for everybody to use effectively.
Yes, it's not a great defensive thing for anybody since it is perpendicular to your lines of attack. Sorry, it's parallel to your lines of attack, not perpendicular. It should be perpendicular.
Huh. Okay.
And some of this is to make sure that we don't ever have to move the castle gates and that we can move the hay bales as little as possible.
Yeah, the other thing is just to have threats to insubstantial to deal with people messing with flags then.
Mhm.
And storyline, we're trying to alternate between games at the castle that we're claiming in the Shattered Lands and away from the castle. And so Season of Bloom was theoretically at the castle before there was a castle. And then this one is the first game at the castle, but there's still no castle because we're not using it as a castle. And then later games we'll get the actual castle and use it. That doesn't make any difference other than storyline wise.
The fluff.
All right. Is everybody okay to move on to the Twiceborn Warlord?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, so hold on. Flags will not have any game mechanisms limiting interaction. Like, there's still a game object, I'm assuming, so that an insubstantial player can't just play around with them.
Yes, I think that's true.
Okay.
But that has to do with insubstantial, not with their mechanisms. I think that's true. I will clarify that one with Reox because it does seem like an interesting question, but I think that's correct.
I'm guessing it's things like you can't destroy them or stop them from being moved or anything like that. Or you can't hit them with an ice ball or something and stop them from being functional for 60 seconds or something.
Yep, I think that's the key.
Okay.
As a funny thing, I was actually just thinking it'd be really funny just to take all the clues and hide them from everybody else.
Taking my ball and going home.
Well, except it says the clues may not be removed from the nodes, so that's going to be hard.
Oh, that's what it was. Sorry, it was actually just killing people at the nodes to get clues. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
not interacting with the objectives at all.
Oh, yeah. So just slaughtering everybody who gets near the clues. Well, that would make it hard for anybody to win. Although at that point, somebody's going to win by dumb luck.
It would be interesting to just gather all the clues and figure out the answer and then enact your plan instead of trying to control the different nodes throughout the whole battlefield, whatever, just figuring out the answer and then enacting it as you go or at like one point in time. But it still means you have to control most of the battlefield in one swoop for at least a period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think more realistically, you want to figure out 4 while trying really hard to make sure the other team doesn't figure out any, and then hope you can get 4. Maybe you figure out 5 and hope you can get 4. but you don't actually care that much about all of them as you care about 4 when time runs out. Because I agree with you all, controlling the entire battlefield to get all 6 in a keep-size game seems vanishingly unlikely to me.
Mhm.
Yes. My thought about this battle game was how much, as an individual player, how much can I affect the outcome of this game? Because there's 3 different mechanics going on, and I was like, what's a better use of our time to try to solve this game or acquire as much money as possible to use in a later battle game?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be an interesting team split that happens in the middle of the fights.
Well, and I don't greatly object to people who decide that's what they prefer to do.
So it also says that the coins can be stolen. Can you steal them from your own team?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to say that right now. No.
How else am I supposed to RP an assassin?
You're not supposed to RP an assassin. You're supposed to play by game rules. And if you're going to say, I thought this was a LARP, I'm going to be, no, you didn't. I've known you for 20 years.
It's role playing.
Stealing my own team's coins.
That is
No,
the
the-
most roguish thing to do in the history of RP.
I understand if we were a true LARP, it would be a thing you could argue. We're not, so please don't. Okay. Those were good questions. I think we got Varnhold vanishing sorted out. Let's talk about the Twiceborn Warlord, because time is spinning past us.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Twiceborn Warlord, we have the win condition is for the most things collected and stored in your storehouses. You can attack the enemy storehouses while defending your own to get the goods. Most of the goods will be in the storehouses. If you earn the right to place barriers, you must arrive 15 minutes before lay on and place those barriers. They may not be placed within 5 feet of the initially placed locations. So the stuff on the map, you can't be within 15 feet of those. The general goods will be valued at 2 points each, and they will be larger, less movable items. The valuables will be 5 points each, and they will be more like gold, gems, things you can pocket. Except that everything's going to be carried in the sack, attached to your standard. This is why I'm telling everybody to get flags, because you're going to be having to flags, and that's what you're going to need to carry your stuff on. And that's the only way you're going to like. That is how you move your valuables. General goods, you can carry them however, and they drop where you die. If you die while carrying the valuables, they return those valuables immediately to the most recent storehouse visited, probably the one you stole them from.
It's important to note, probably.
I did say probably. If they came
Okay.
from your storehouse, they're going back to it. So they may not be going to the one you stole them from. Like if you run from a storehouse to one of your storehouses and then keep running, they're going back to your storehouse.
Okay. If that's something that's on the table, that if it goes to the nearest one or if it goes to the one it came from is very important.
No, it goes to one last visited. So
Okay,
it's not
fine.
necessarily nearest. Like if
What
I
does
were
visit
to,
constitute as?
so it's the one last visited, and we're counting on people to follow the damn rules.
Okay.
Because you're
I
right.
didn't know what
I
visited
can't.
meant.
You have to have been in the storehouse with the item.
Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha.
That's visited. So if you stole it from the enemy storehouse, that's the last visited until you get into your storehouse. Then whether you pick it up, set it down or not, if it's still in your bag after you visited your storehouse, it's going back to your storehouse.
Oh,
But if you then run all the way up next to the enemy's other storehouse, where the closest storehouse of yours isn't that one, it's not going to it. It's going to that one.
right. Of course. It's also important. I don't remember if you said this earlier. For everyone listening, this is a militia game and not full class.
Oh,
So
yeah.
super
That's
important.
correct. That's correct. No, you're exactly right. It's very important. It is the only militia game that we wrote this year because I love full class, and I know most amp guarders do. But we do have some people where militia is their favorite, so we put one in for them. And militia is fun too. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying I like full class better.
I'm curious how many more javelins we might see.
Oh, it's going to be a javelin paradise, if not this year, next year.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. I hope it's gonna be a lot because javelins are just so good now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
no,
got
no.
a lot of bonus.
Like I say, if not this year, next year it'll be a javelin paradise. I think this year it will be. The only reason it might not be is people are lazy about getting them built, but people put their effort in for keeps, so I think it's going to be a javelin paradise.
I mean, if a vendor really wants to make bank, they should make a crap ton of javelins.
Yeah.
You are not wrong.
We sold out in 20 minutes.
I think I only have one. I think I only have one weapon vendor coming, and that weapon vendor is Dag centric, so he may not have figured it out yet.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to tell him. I might tell him. I might not. I like to see my vendors make money, so I might tell him.
Mhm.
All right. Any other comments about this one?
I mean, this is going to be pretty standard strategy for militia. You're going to want to control locations, bring armor, bring arrows, bring helms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, bring helms for sure.
Oh, for the extra armor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so our funding company already talked about this game, and I think it's actually much more fun than it may seem. Because it's militia, I think this has the propensity to be really, really fun. Just because people playing militia tend to wear heavy armor and stuff like that, and there's a lot of fun to be had if you like running around.
Yeah, there is definitely a space for the lighter armored people in this game, especially if you need to be moving goods around all the time. So even in like a normal militia game where people that aren't wearing as much armor don't get to be on the front lines as much, they're going to be a lot more useful because you need to move stuff.
Well, and the valuables, especially, you're going to be able to run with them.
Mm-hmm.
The general goods are probably going to be sandbags and or hay bales, so they're not going to be very movable.
Just get strong.
But the valuables will be very movable.
Can you move your own goods?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, so you mean like pull your stuff out of the storehouse and pull them out of one storehouse and all back into another one and then just hold?
It's possible, but you still have to grab one from the other side. But I don't know.
I mean, you absolutely can. Oh yeah, and I believe that when we talked about this, I convinced the game writer that we ought to have some amount of valuables and goods in no storehouses at game beginning. Not a very significant amount, but some. Just to make sure that we have some conflict at the beginning.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed you say that the general goods are gonna be hay bales or sandbags. I was like, well, they're general goods. How big could they possibly be? And I was thinking maybe it's something the size of a soup can. I didn't actually have any.
Oh no, I mean,
My magic expectation was.
no, we definitely talked about reusing the things we've got, which are hay bales and sandbags.
That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, we can't bring some other machine to carry the stuff around for us.
Yes, no machines. You're not allowed to bring your pickup and load it up with sandbags.
Oh, I was thinking of pickup. I was just thinking a lot of cloaks.
I know. You guys are all going simple, but I'm like, if I'm going to allow simple machines, why do I not allow complex machines?
Yeah, just
So
to make,
just because I can't do it, my initial plan was that my plan for my team was I was gonna get a very large sack that had something to keep it open, and then you run into the storehouse. You have all your players throw all the general goods into that bag, and then you just play keep away the entire time from the rest of the players.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hard to do with sandbags. I'm sorry, brother.
I'm not an anime character, unfortunately. Sandbags be pretty heavy.
I had not thought that that would be a strategy, probably because I always thought they were sandbags.
Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe there's like a soup can. I can carry that around. That's not too bad. Yeah,
Yeah, no.
sandbags are freaking heavy.
All right. Well, it was. I love the way you guys are thinking. I'm sorry it didn't turn out to be that interesting
That's
to
okay.
do that. I think it's still going to be a pretty good militia game.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Um, all right. I think we've covered this one in pretty good depth. Let's move on to the Rage of the River Kings, which of all the games, this is the one that has the most risk, but it is also the most interesting to me.
Oh, so that last one we were allowed to purchase walls and put them up. Those walls will stay for the rest of the games?
No, I lied because those rain. Oh no, that is correct. They will be. It's interesting. Where are they going to be? I think we're going to replace them because this wall, this battle, the Twiceborn Warlord does not have the castle in the map, so we're not going to place them. They're going to be replaced, but they do exist in Rage of the River Kings, so we are going to place them again.
Okay.
In fact, we might even get more. I want to get more. I thought we had 3 kinds, and I know Rage of the River Kings gives some that go down to the cursed whatever he is, cursed sovereign. I think he is. So I thought there was one more build, but maybe there's not. Maybe there's only 2 kinds. So we'll let that be. But excellent question. Let's move on to the Rage of the River Kings. Okay, so the castle team, which they're both full class, it's all the same. The castle team must get at least 50% of their team across the goal line before time runs out. The attacking team must prevent this until team time runs out, or raise the 2 flags. I don't know why it says shadow defending team. You can't shadow people, but you can raise the 2 flags. So the things that are interesting about this game, that little green escape line is literally going to be marked as a line on the map, and you have to cross it to escape. If you escape across it, the Reeve is going to count you, and the first time you escape across, before they count you, the first time you escape across it, they're going to mark you on your right hand, the back of your hand if it's exposed, but otherwise the inside of your wrist, something exposed on your right hand with some face paint, so that you cannot be counted as a scorer again. Then you're going to repop. But there's only going to be a couple of Reeves there, so there will be a natural break on how many people get to respawn. If you lead a break out of 20 people, the Reeves will have to check and mark 20 people before any of them go back to the respawn and respawn as normal. So the bigger your breakout, the longer it is that your people are waiting to get back there and respawn, and the greater a chance that flags will go up. And if both flags go up, then Team B wins. Any other things that I want to talk about?
This game is super fun, and depending on what you do with your strategy, it's just a huge gamble all around.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I left this game in because of that factor. It is the game with the risk that somebody just gets a great strategy and wins. And if that happens, we'll probably play it again and count the first one as the real victory. But I hate to have a 3.5 minute game. Nobody came to keep for a 3.5 minute game. I don't think it's going to happen, but y'all see that there is a risk it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the one where the attacking team can just set up anywhere, right?
No, they have to set up behind the castle wall and the gates start closed.
Yeah, but they can start anywhere on the open area, I guess.
Yeah, anywhere in the field. Both teams can start anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Well, anywhere on their respective side of the shield.
Right.
That's correct.
That's something I think to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with you. And you see, this was the only one where I had to restrict the Heart of the Swarm. I just decided it was a little too much to get a heart right next to the escape zone. because then all your dead people are going to get across free if you can just keep that heart alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can get a heart close, but you can't get it right on top of it. And proper placement of the walls from the previous game will help a lot in this. I would like that to be the same as in the previous game. We might talk about it and put the castle wall out of bounds in the game before this one. So if it's out of bounds in Twiceborn Warlord, then when you're placing it for Twiceborn Warlord, you know they're also going to be there in Rage of the River Kings in the same place relative to the castle.
Interesting.
That's what I mean. My whole point is I want the terrain to be permanent once placed and exist in all other games, so that the game really evolves.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of the evolving, we'll talk about the moats. There are the moats don't appear to be marked. They're supposed to be moat objectives. Anyway, there should be some objectives marked that I'll have to get. But if a unit activates the moat, and we'll have them marked, then they get the right to set a moat in the final battle game. And those are going to be they're going to be tarps that we're going to stake down. They're going to be big blue tarps. You stake them down, and then you cannot move across them except by heel to toe.
So in this game, there's a second objective of capturing the moat, and then I can use it in the next game.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the moats
And-
won't do anything in this game, but they will next game.
No, they're going to exist as water obstacles in this game too. You just get to capture them for the later game.
So it says.
So that 3 water obstacles will be present, represented by blue tarps staked to the ground. They will begin the game inactive. A team may activate them by raising the corresponding flag. When activated, players must heel toe walk through these obstacles. Insubstantial players may move like normal. And then activating a moat grants the right to set the moat for the final game. So they could just sit there and nobody raises the flag, then nobody places them for the final game.
Gotcha.
Where are those?
They're not on the
moats?
map. They're
the
they're
map.
literally not on the map, and I'm surprised because I remember putting them on the map, and they were in front of the wall, but not in front of the gate,
Okay.
and did not block off the whole wall at all. They weren't right in front of the gate wall, so halfway between the wall and no heart zone, roughly, or the words no heart zone.
That makes it kind of interesting because the attacking team has the advantage of claiming them.
That they are easier for the attacking team to claim. I agree.
Right, but it's based on the 10-man teams again, I assume. So that makes it a little interesting too.
That's right. It's the unit that activates a moat has the right to place that moat in the next game. And then the last one is the secret tunnels. There's going to be 2 tokens that the defending team gets at the beginning of the game. You can turn that token into a reeve to activate a tunnel, which allows 10 players to teleport in unison. If they're in the tunnel, they must stay within 5 feet of another player under the effect. If somebody gets killed, you got to close your line back up to keep that 5 feet.
I assume if one person gets pulled out of insubstantial, then only them is pulled out. You're not.
That's correct. That's correct. That's why I say you got to close back up. It does not affect the other 10 people who are teleporting.
Okay.
It's literally teleport exactly like the spell, except that you need to stay within 5 feet of another player under the effect.
Gotcha.
All right. Any other questions, comments about this? Any other ideas?
So the first thing I noticed with the game when we were reading it was that in order for the defending team to actually win, again, you have to communicate with everyone playing on your team. So there's gonna be like 100 players possibly, and you
That's
have to
right.
have what percentage of it? Half your team get across
correct.
the goal line.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
super important.
Yeah, this one does not allow you to use one team as your escapees and one team as your defenders. You might be able to leave 25% of your people on defense all the time and just say, oh, you guys don't want to move at all. We're not going to make you move. But you're going to have most people being trying to escape, or you won't get half of them across. And escaping people aren't dead for good. They're just out for a delay. So it's not as bad as all that.
Well, it's not that bad, but one thing I noticed was that when the players get across a line and they're being counted, they align themselves in a single file line and they get marked. And I don't really know how long it's going to take for them to get marked. I assume it's going to be with a Sharpie or something like that.
No, it's gonna be a face paint, and there's gonna be 2 Reeves doing it. So that tells you how fast. Not especially.
Okay.
I'm not saying it will be super slow, but not especially. That's literally the answer.
Okay. We're just weighing the advantages of like if we send a bunch like weighing our advantages like how many people send you out how many people you send out at once versus how long of a window the attacking team has attacking the castle because there's less people in the castle now.
No, I
So
mean you're absolutely right. Escaping 45% of your team at the very beginning is a really bad mistake.
Well, I don't know in some ways because the only way to get into the castle for the attackers is if the defenders open a door or if they also get teleported inside.
No, because you can go over these walls. Like this is something you don't know because you haven't been to keep.
Fair enough.
The
Yeah.
the hay bales are fairly easy to go over.
Oh, okay.
They are much harder to go over against the staunch defense. But if you're outnumbering them 2-1, the defense can't be that staunch.
Sure.
yeah, the trick is that you usually kill people on top of the hay bale, and then then they make difficult terrain for their allies getting over the hay bales.
That's fair.
And moreover, holding the gates is easy, and you can do it against superior numbers. But it's hard to hold 2 against 2-1, especially when they start open as your own guys charge out them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because they're going to start the game closed, but if you're trying to start with a big initial breakout, you're probably going to open them. Like
Yeah.
your guys can also go over the walls, and it's easy if there's nobody stopping them. But to really flood out of that castle, I'm going to open one gate, probably both.
That team is going to have to pay a lot of attention to where the other team's starting because if they decide to start near the line, it might be better just to rush them.
Question with the gates, the attacking team doesn't have a ram. Is that correct?
Uh, yes, but we're not going to barricade them either.
Oh, it's just a closed gate with nothing barring it.
That's correct. So if you guys can hold it closed, that's okay with me. But then it's just a pushing and shoving.
Are you allowed to bar it?
No, you're not allowed to bar it. That's not where we're not giving you bars.
Well, you could not give me a bar. I could still
No.
hold
Well,
on to it.
I said
Uh,
we're not giving you bars because we don't want it barred. So no, you're not allowed to bar it.
It says the attacking team
Sorry.
may not open them.
No, I understand. You
way.
have years of Jessica still pumping through your blood.
Well, I didn't know if it was like we're not gonna give you the wood to do. I'm like, well, okay, I don't need wood, I suppose.
No, we
I-
literally do not want them barred. That's
Good
not
idea,
part of
yeah.
this game.
It's usually dangerous. I get it.
Yeah, and I don't mind people pushing and shoving on both sides of the gate when the only advantage is how much weight you can put against it, crack it open, and try and
Yeah.
stab people. That seems okay to me and not especially dangerous. On the fly, trying to put up barricades while other people are trying to break it with no ram, we've just increased the danger considerably.
Yeah, I can't imagine people breaking down the door like with their bodies.
Well,
Not
the-
if
really
you barricaded it all well, but
Yeah.
the steel castle took enough damage in the last couple of years that the bracketing system is not what it once was. We are convinced it will work pretty well when we have plenty of time to barricade it, but it will not be one that's going to be easy to barricade on the fly.
it says the attacking team may not open them in any way, so that's why I was.
Oh,
What happened?
oh, I think that means the attacking team can't open them after start based on the start. I think if you close them, we're going to have to open them. That seems like a clarification I need to write in.
Okay.
No, I see what you're saying, but I think that's the intention there. And this one I say I think, but I should know. I wrote the damn thing.
I'm really curious how this is gonna go if you're the attacking team. If the defending team immediately opens one gate, I'm kind of curious to see what people do and how they spread their battle line. Because like one part of me is like, oh, why wouldn't all the attacking team go to the open gate? But then some people are gonna spread themselves across the battle line for whatever reason.
Oh,
Well, they could be jumping. Like it depends on which gate gets opened, right? If you just open one, because if you open the one closest to the escape line, which makes sense, then they can just jump the wall on the other side.
well,
try
and
to
if
get the
whatever
wall.
the hell the castle team does manages to escape them 40% of their team early in the game, they put you under the gun very seriously unless you beat them while they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say, I think it's interesting, and I think that the I think it's written here somewhere, but we talked about it. The 50% is going to be decided at the beginning of the game, so it's going to probably be slightly less than 50% because there's always a few people who join later.
Gotcha.
Like that number is going to be established, and we're just going to go for that number, not continue to adjust it as people may or may not filter in.
That makes sense.
Um, okay. Any other questions? These are good questions.
I mean, I think this is gonna be kind of a standard castle build that we've seen at keeps in the past. You're gonna want front lines, you're gonna want mid lines, you're gonna want control and CC casters.
Oh, I do have one question that's kind of important. So, if say we send 20 players out of the castle and they go to the escape line, do they cross the escape line then get marked, or do they get marked before they go across the escape line?
No, they cross the escape line and are out of
Okay.
game while they are marked,
Okay, cool. I was
and
like,
while
oh
they are
no,
standing in
there's
line
a
to get
wait line.
marked.
I
So
assumed that, but that was probably not
Yeah.
something to assume.
no, that's definitely
You show
true.
up.
But it also has the feature that if you escape because they're close to you, but they don't come attack you, you can't go back and fight them.
Yes, which is important.
Like once you've escaped, you're there and have to wait till you get marked, or if you've already died, have your mark checked. So you can't even go, oh, I died, I'm out of here. Sorry, not oh, I died, but oh, I've already been checked, I'm going right back. No, they get to check you. And um, in addition to the two Reeves doing the marking, I will have a Reeve there keeping people from trying to cheese that part because the delay on death is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Not delay on death, delay on escape. Like that's not a casual feature, that's an intentional feature.
If players that have already escaped cross the escape line, do they just keep adding to that queue, or do they just immediately go back?
No, they have to stand in the queue and get checked.
Okay.
Like it will be quicker for them because they will not have to get checked and then marked. So it might be advantageous to put all your guys who've already been marked at the front of your queue. I'm totally in favor of that, but they are going to get checked. So every person there is going to have to interact with a Reeve, which interaction is going to take a few seconds. It's not going to be a long time, but because it's a queue, everyone's a few seconds longer than the one before them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of them will be back at the base when the respawn timer goes off? Not all of them, probably.
And this, I mean, see, oh crap. Do you have any idea what the length of the field might be?
Uh, no, I'm guessing it's going to be in the 100-foot range, but maybe 150.
Yeah. Okay. I just assumed it was like our standard keep field, which is pretty substantial.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
I want it to be pretty substantial. The site is a little less amenable to giant battlefields than previous. Believe me, I'm going to get there early and take as much as they'll give me
Yeah.
because I believe we live and die on our battle games, and as Warocrat, I don't feel bad at all on saying, well, I need more resources because I'm providing the fun for people.
Okay.
I mean,
I
I don't mind if the merchant disagrees with me and says they need more or whatever. Like we'll work it out, but I'm willing to fight for battle games because I believe in them.
Yeah, I mean this is a lot of battle games.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't have any more questions outside of that.
Well, no, I think we've talked this one pretty good. Like there's a lot of interesting things to think about here. Um, Insubstantial is very good for escaping. Teams who are not prepared to deal with insubstantial players will probably be sorry. Given the reasonable buffs that Scout got recently, that we might see more of them.
And banish being on monks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, that's a good point.
Though
All
this
right.
is another game that would be a perfect opportunity to pull a Raven and climb a castle wall to win an objective.
Oh yeah, because if you capture the flags inside the thing, you can get 50% closer to the. It's one of the 2 win objectives for the attacking team, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. And frankly, I would never climb a castle wall like Raven, but I love it when people climb across a wall like Raven.
It's fun. I've
It's
yet to
good.
get hurt.
I believe it's good for amp guard. I mean, yes, there is some risk of injury, but we're literally hitting each other with sticks. There's always risk of injury. We're shooting each other with arrows. That the only thing protecting us from losing eyes is foam built by some random amp guarder. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't take that risk myself. I do, and I enjoy it. But it's worth noting.
True.
Okay, so this is the Cursed Sovereign, which is interesting. It's another asymmetrical, and this one is going to be an attack defend. This is where the storyline all comes together. So looking at the map, you'll see that the number of upgrades earned in the previous games will determine the size of the map, but more importantly, it also determines the size of the team inside the castle. And if you look at the chart right above that, it shows how we're going to split the people. So if the PC teams across the previous games, whichever units were on them, only captured zero of the pay objectives, then it's going to be an 80-20 game. And even the advantage of a castle, that's pretty rough.
That's touch.
But on the other hand, I think it's unlikely that they're going to capture zero objectives. But they might not capture all 3, so we might not get it down to a 35-65. It's worth comparing this to 3-team castle defense, which we've played at Keep every single year except this one with the Keep. Not counting the first 2 years where there was no Keep, but every single time we've had a Keep, we've played 3-team castle defense. This year we're not playing it. It was literally one of Riex's challenges. He's like, I'm a newer player and I've never played anything but 3-team castle defense. I want to do something different. I was like, well, it's a great game, but let's see what we can do to imitate it. But it's worth noting that 3 objectives is very close to what we're used to with 3-team castle defense.
There's only one
And-
opportunity to do this because we're not doing the 3-team castle defense. We're just doing one game.
That's exactly right. We're playing it once.
Yep. So the
Um,
seeing the opponent's strategy and building off of that or stealing it is not going to be an option.
Correct.
Oh, so that means you need to have 2 strategies then.
Yeah, depending on which team you end up on.
You are exactly correct. Although that's true in all of these games, because you don't know whether you're going to be the PCs or the NPCs. There's literally only the one that we're playing twice, which I think is the Stag Lord. It's one of the very early games. It's the only one we're playing twice. I thought it was 0, but it's not. So the other thing is that makes it less horrible is that the attackers need to get the respawn and enhancers going before they get down to a reasonable respawn time. Which could be hard if they don't have decent numbers. But if they do have decent numbers, it won't be that tough for them. But the attacking team has the respawn enhancers that start on the battlefield. The defending team can carry the anti-magic domes onto the field and cover them to disable them, once they're covered, they stay covered. There's no uncovering them, so the respawn just got a little worse. And they're going to be progressively further from the castle. So my guess is that if the defending team is even faintly sensibly organized, they should be able to get 2 of the respawn nodes very early in the game. And if they don't try to, they're probably in trouble.
This may be the difference of me not being at keep before, because to me it almost looks like a trap. Like if you have why would you break out of your castle? I guess.
So the key is how easy it is to go over those walls.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's easier to go out because there's little hay bales holding the big round hay bales in place, so you have a stepping stool to get
Gotcha.
up
Okay.
over and come out than it is to get in, because coming in there's nothing. So normally someone has to get underneath it, or you have to get a running start to jump high enough.
Yeah, if you're like, I think, like at my height, if it's one of those big round barrels, if you ran and jump, you can basically belly over the hay bale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
with the one below it, you can just step on it.
Yep.
No, that's exactly right. It is much easier to go over them from inside typically. And it's always easier to go over it when the other team is running towards you from the other end of the field than when they're right here.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I know several castle battles I've been in, we've sallied out for various reasons. Not all of them were beneficial, but I know some of them have been just like they get stuck. The opponents get stuck and don't know how to run through the gate, or we put enough people in the front of the gate that it's they have to regroup in order to make a good column. But controlling outside of your castle, I've never seen any of the keeps I've been to. I've never seen anyone control outside of the castle more than like 20-ish feet.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair that they are unlikely to control outside the castle, but 2 of those respawn enhancers are going to be about 20 feet outside the castle or a little less. So they're going to be well within the area you should be able to grab if you get organized and make sure to grab them.
How does the boundary upgrade work?
So the boundary is literally based on the number of enhancements in the previous games. It's the exact same as the chart above it. It's the percentages.
Oh.
So if you've got that 80-20 split, you're using the smallest boundary.
Right.
Not that that helps a lot, but it helps a little.
So So if I'm in the castle, my space that I have to defend is proportional to the number of people I have.
Somewhat, yes.
So if I've captured 3 objectives, I get a second tower, and we're at a 35-65 split. That means I have the orange boundary.
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you've got it figured out. That wasn't one of us. That's somebody else. That's so good. Anyway, that's the key to it. The attackers win by getting their war banners inside. This is not different than what we've done in a lot of other games. So in that case, you're just going to have to build them, which that's not going to be that hard to be your own place, but you will have to carry them into the fort and get them in the right spots. My feeling is that's going to be much easier if the numbers are badly against you. It doesn't say what the timer is here, but my feeling is this timer is going to be in the 30-35 minute range, same as I said before. This is based on how long it normally takes to break into a castle on 3-team castle defense.
Yeah, the defenders win if they hold out for 30 minutes under win conditions.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. You're right. So that's the answer.
Where are just out of curiosity, because it's not on the map. It says the attackers must assemble 4 war banners at the parts depot. Where are those going to be on the map?
The parts depot is going to be somewhere in the middle of the field.
Oh, okay. That's even more incentive to come out into the field then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there will be a reason to go attack the parts depot if you've got enough people. But it's probably going to be middle of one side and not especially vulnerable to attack. not going to be invulnerable or anything, but not especially vulnerable.
Mm.
Like dead middle would be worse. And theoretically, if I get my way, the gates that you placed in preparation for Twiceborn Warlord will still be here, and the moats that you get to place for this game. So you basically will have 2 extra pieces of terrain to place, one that you're placing right before this game, and another one that you placed 2 games ago, but that stayed to this game. That's why other terrain as earned by players in past games is on this map.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Do you have any more comments or questions about this one?
No, this was super helpful.
Yeah. One quick, just because I know people are going to ask about it, relics or kingdom relics, I guess specifically, are allowed or not allowed?
No, the only thing we're going to allow is things earned at Night Quest.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe those are mostly going to be in the less than relic quality category, but there are magic items and those kind of things being given in Night Quest, and they will be valid in any games after Night Quest.
Awesome.
I think a takeaway from this is to talk with your team and be prepared to work with other teams, because there's only like 1 or 2 of these battle games that'll actually get you any benefit from being your own unit. Everything else is you're going to need to be working with the entirety of your team and not just your unit.
Well, and I'm excited. Like, I know we're doing some stuff that's new and different this year. Like, we do not have a straight up unit competition, and we're not playing the games symmetrically. Like, most of the time we do an asymmetrical battle, we do it twice so that we have a symmetrical answer. And we're not doing that. We're just concentrating on building a storyline. And I'm really interested in how people are going to receive that. I think these games should be fun and exciting and interesting, even without it always being a thing where the chance of winning is exactly equal for everyone. But that might not be true, because I know Amp-Guarders like to have the chance of winning exactly equal for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But we're doing some experiments here, and I appreciate the fact that none of the 3 of you, that was your immediate complaint. It means that we might be guessing that right when we think it can work.
It's a
I don't
chance to
know. I'm
show off
much
new
more-
strategy.
Yeah, I'm much more open to asymmetrical things because I think they're more fun personally, but hopefully that carries on to more people than just those here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I say, removing the unit competition helps with the people's willingness to accept asymmetry, I think.
True.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens, and I'm excited about it. Thank you guys. I think Adam wanted to say something about Come Try LARP.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the Come Try LARP tournament is this weekend, and anyone competing in it, I hope they have a really great time, and I hope it's really enjoyable. And any video reviews and stuff coming out for it's gonna be on the YouTubes and Facebook after the event.
Mm-hmm. It also
Yeah,
sounds
and
like the recording crew or the cameras from Come Try LARP, all Hogman stuff is coming to Keep as well. So we're going to try to get a bunch of footage at the event as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys do. I think the social media side of AmpGuard is very strong, and I'm grateful to everybody involved in it. It's easy to say when all 3 of my guests are involved in it, but thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I don't think we have anything else to say. Waldorf, if you're still here and you would like to add anything, we greatly appreciate your coming and listening to us live. So I would love to hear you if you have anything to say.
Well, this will be my first keep, so this here has been extremely helpful. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and come say hi to me at Keep. I'm especially appreciative of anybody who is going to warm up for their first Keep by listening to us and trying to learn. So come say hi. I would love to meet you.
Yeah.
All right, we're done, gentlemen. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.